Aliens. I believe aliens exist, but I don't think that they've visited Earth. I think we are alone in the universe, at least for now. There is a good reason to think that probably alone because we have yet to find any definitive evidence of life elsewhere. And there's also a scientific reason why I think that we are likely alone. First off, let me tell you why I think that aliens probably exist. If the universe is infinite or even just very large, then there must be other planets out there that are similar to Earth and have conditions suitable for life to evolve. Just think about how many people that you know personally. Some were born in different countries, others grew up in different climates, and some even come from different planets. I'm kidding, obviously. But seriously, our planet Earth has enough variety for life to thrive. We have deserts and rainforests, mountains and valleys, oceans and lakes. We have hot springs and cold tundras. So if our planet can support this much diversity in such a small area, imagine what other planets could be like if they were bigger, or if they were orbiting a red dwarf star, which is much smaller than our sun. Scientists have estimated that there could be more than 100 billion planets out there that are similar to Earth. And if we were able to explore even just 1% of them, we would find something. Now, of course, this is just a rough estimate based on the number of stars in the universe and the percentage of those stars that have planetary systems. The actual number of Earth-like planets out there could be much higher or much lower. We just don't know yet. What scientists can say with more certainty is that the number of solar systems out there is almost certainly infinite. And since most stars in the universe are smaller than our sun, it means that there are probably far more planets orbiting red dwarf stars than planets orbiting sun-like stars. And since red dwarf planets are closer together, they might even have a better chance of supporting life than Earth. Red dwarfs are so common that if you looked up into space on a clear night, every single star you see would be one. That is because there are around 75 trillion red dwarf stars in the Milky Way compared to only 100 billion or so sun-like stars. In other words, there are around 750 times more red dwarf stars than sun-like stars. However, not all of these stars will have planets, and not all of those planets will be Earth-like. But since the vast majority of stars are red dwarfs, it still means that there are probably far more potentially habitable planets out there than we can even dream of exploring. With so many planets out there that could support life, it seems highly unlikely that Earth is the only planet where it evolved. If life arose on even just one other planet, then we are definitely not alone. As to why I don't think that aliens have visited Earth, here's why. First off, the distances between stars are absolutely mind-bogglingly huge. Even if aliens did evolve on another planet, chances are they have unvisited us because they'd have to travel thousands of light years to get here. For comparison, if someone were to travel from Los Angeles to New York, which is arguably one of the most traveled routes in the world, it would take them around 6 hours by plane. The distance between Los Angeles and New York is roughly 2,500 miles or about 4,000 kilometers. Meanwhile, the nearest star to our sun, Alpha Centauri, is more than 4 light years away. In other words, it would take a spaceship traveling at the speed of light over 4 years to get there. And that's just to get to the nearest star. Since there are billions of stars in the Milky Way galaxy, it would take billions of years for an alien species to visit us from even just the next star over. And that's assuming that they're capable of traveling at the speed of light. So unless aliens are able to harness some kind of faster-than-light travel or FTL, which is currently considered impossible, visiting us from another planet is simply out of the question. It would take them way too long. And that's not even the worst part. Space isn't just empty and full of stars. There are countless clouds of gas and dust spread throughout the galaxy, some of which span hundreds of light years. These are known as nebulae. Most stars form within these clouds of gas and dust, but they can also pose a massive obstacle for spaceships trying to travel between stars. If aliens were to ever visit us, they'd have to navigate through these nebulae, which would be extremely dangerous. Spaceships would be constantly bombarded by asteroids and meteoroids, not to mention the gravitational pull of massive stars. All of this adds up to make interstellar travel incredibly difficult, if not downright impossible. And that's why I don't think that aliens have been able to visit Earth. However, this doesn't mean that aliens haven't tried. There are plenty of stories about UFOs and alien sightings, but none of them have ever been confirmed. There have been a few cases where blurry photos or videos have surfaced, but they've either been debunked as hoaxes or simply not been taken seriously by the scientific community. The truth is, we just don't have any concrete evidence that aliens have ever visited our planet. In addition to the practical difficulties of interstellar travel, there's also the issue of time dilation. As a spaceship approaches the speed of light, time slows down for the people on board compared to those who are standing still on Earth. This means that if a spaceship were to travel even just a small fraction of the speed of light, its crew would experience time passing much slower than everyone else. Now, this isn't a big deal if the crew is only going on a short trip. But if they were to travel for thousands of light years, then time dilation would become a serious issue. Let's say that a spaceship traveled 90% of the speed of light for 10 years. When the crew returned to Earth, they would have only aged 10 years. But everyone back home would have aged more than 30. This means that when the crew stepped foot back on Earth, they would be greeted by a world that was completely different. Their friends and family would be long gone, and their own descendants might even be living on other planets by then. It's not hard to see why no alien species would want to travel to a planet where they would be practically strangers. So if aliens do exist, why haven't they visited us? One possibility is that they're trying to avoid detection. Maybe they know that we're not ready to make first contact, or maybe they're just being friendly and respecting our boundaries. Another possibility is that they're simply too far away. Maybe they're so advanced that they've colonized other galaxies and star systems. In fact, this makes sense, considering that if they're more advanced than us, they would know that Earth is doomed. In about 1 billion years, our sun will expand and swallow the Earth. So if aliens are trying to preserve their civilization for as long as possible, they might want to steer clear of planets that are on their way out. Ultimately, we just don't know why aliens haven't visited us if they do exist. But that hasn't stopped people from speculating for centuries. Maybe one day we'll find out the truth. But until then, we'll just have to keep wondering. What do you guys think? Are we alone in the universe? Or is there life out there beyond our wildest dreams? Let me know in the comments below. Also, make sure to check out my other videos and subscribe for more. Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching.